I talk a lot about how important it is to invest in a skill set and to attempt to do things yourself. Don't call in the contractor on the first sign of problem or issue that you have in your house. Do as much as you can yourself. And this is a tool that fits that bill, and it might be one of the most underrated tools of all time. That is the oscillating tool. A lot of brands call them a multi-tool, or some people call them the multi-tool, but I believe the correct term is oscillating tool. And it is just an incredible piece. So approximately a year ago, I was up doing some work with my dad. We were doing some rental work on his home, and he had like a cheapo Mastercraft. That's a hardware store brand here in Newfoundland from Canadian Tire, if you're not familiar. He had a cheap version of the oscillating tool. It was corded. It had no features, just an on and off button, but there were just some tasks that we encountered that particular day where he pulled out that tool, and I could not believe, I'd never seen one in use. I could not believe how useful this little tool was. And immediately I started picturing all these scenarios that this tool could tackle that would have been very problematic before. And I said, if that was a good tool and so useful, imagine how good a higher brand, a well-made product like DeWalt would be, and how useful a cordless option would be. So I went out and bought this DeWalt 20 volt max because I'm invested in the 20 volt max line. Now I'm sure all the big brands, all the top brands, if they make them, Milwaukee, Makita, Bosch, Hitachi, those are the brands that are coming to my mind right now. But there's lots out there that make real good stuff. I'm sure theirs is just as good, but I'm invested in the DeWalt line, the 20 volt max, and you're best off picking a battery platform and sticking with that. So I'm stuck with the DeWalt platform, which I'm really happy with because I'm invested in the 20 volt. That way I can keep buying the Bear tools, and all the brands do this. I just wanted to run through scenarios and show you how useful this tool is. Before we get to some actual test footage, let's go over a close-up, detailed footage of the tool itself. So first off, you notice the color scheme. Some people don't like the yellow. I love the DeWalt yellow, and I love their new XR line tools. So it's just sort of their a little bit higher end models with all the black overmolding on there. It just looks so good with all the black, in my opinion, and I love the feel texture of that overmolding. It's really comfortable, soft in the hands, especially on a tool like this that does produce quite a bit of vibration. It's nice to have that little bit more absorption all over the tool body. Going from bottom to the top here, you have the threaded holes on the sides. That is for the belt clip, which didn't come with this tool, but it came with my impact driver, and I can switch it around, which is nice. If you're on a ladder, you can have that belt clip, so you can just kind of throw it on your, hook it on your belt there, use it when you need it, throw it back on. Very handy. So you might want to pick up one of those clips. Down here at the bottom, we have 3 settings, and those are speed settings, and there is quite a big difference in the speed here. I pretty much always use mine on the highest speed setting. Moving up here, of course, you have the trigger, which is a nice long trigger. I use mine down here all the time, but if you were to like have weak fingers or something, or a bit fatigued, it's a big enough trigger you could get, multiple fingers on that trigger. I'm not sure why exactly they did such a long trigger like that, but it is what it is. They have a trigger lockout here. Okay, so once that was locked out, almost all the DeWalt tools allow this. Once that's locked out, you can't nip that trigger anymore. Now, one thing that's so incredible about some of these newer ones, these higher end ones, that my dad's didn't have, is this kind of 360 degrees rotation and this quick attach. So there's no wrenches or tools or anything like that. You take a blade, which looks something like this. You buy the ones that work for your tool, but they're all fairly universal now. You pinch this, it fits right in over the steel grommets, and it locks down, and just like that, you're ready to go. Isn't that nice? And with the way they're set up, you can move at increments. So you can really set this up exactly how you want just by rotating it. So you pull down on that lever, you can work this right around the tool there, which is really nice depending on if you're cutting against the wall on this side, trimming along, or if you're going against the wall on the other side. Of course, you'll flip it the other way and you can trim along. It's just really nice. Probably the last real feature to mention here is the light here, the LED, which most of DeWalt's tools include, and I really like that. It's hard to overstate how handy that is, especially with rental type work, demolition and stuff. You're in the back of a closet or you're up and underneath the house doing some plumbing. Having those lights on all the tools really make your life easier. So how exactly does it work? You'll nip the trigger and you'll notice it has a variable speed trigger, which is really awesome. But notice how small the oscillations are. That's as slow as I can make it right there. Now maybe at this point you've never had any experience with this and you're still looking at it, watching this video, and thinking, kind of like I did when I saw my dad bring out the tool, that it's a little bit gimmicky. It's you know, it's not your bread and butter, your main tools. It's kind of almost a toy, you know. Just let me run you through some scenarios of what this tool is capable of. Let's say you're in kind of a tight area, you want to cut a piece of PEX, you can't get your tool spinning around there, or you just don't want to take the time. Except for the bit of burr there around the outside and inside edges, have a look at how clean that cut is. How about some CPVC, half-inch line here? Do you see what I mean? How quick that could get you out of a jam. Let's say you didn't have enough room. You're retrofitting plumbing, you didn't have enough room to get a cut-off tool in there. You need very little room to get this up into your ceiling. Let's take it up a notch to some copper. Now here's a setting I've run into a few times. You have, let's see here, door facings, floor line, okay? Now, let's say you have your facings on here, you have cushion floor down, like vinyl flooring. You pull up that cushion floor, now you want to lay some laminate. Of course, these facings were down on the cushion floor with only an 1/8 inch or so. You want to get some laminate in there, so you need this to be opened up, say, a 1/2 inch. Now, that is not an overly easy cut to make when it's on the wall, to not spoil your drywall, to do a nice clean job. It's just not overly easy. So you take your piece of flooring, you mark up against your baseboard, and now here's where that variable speed trigger comes in. Actually, let's change now just so I can get a more comfortable hand rest here. So I've traced out my line there now slowly. And the blades are even thin enough that you're able to trace your line with a scrap piece of flooring, just like that. You see how I just ran that along there? Super easy. And this is a fine tooth blade. Just make that known as well. It is a wood metal blade, so it's a fine blade, which you want to do and take your time with molding so you don't really chew up the MDF. Now I wish I had a piece of 2x4 here to show you, but just to give you a scenario, this is a piece of inch board. Imagine this is in a wall or you need to cut out a stud or something. We don't just need to use those fine blades. There are lots of types of blades, and because of that quick change, we can pop out our fine blade and go right to a more aggressive tooth blade, just like that. And just watch the speed of this cut here. You see how quickly I just buried that blade in there? Now if you were in a real tight spot, it would not be easy to get A manual saw or a circular saw or even a reciprocating saw would not be easy to get in there. And the reciprocating saw, you need that room for reciprocation as well. With this, you don't need the space. How about a 3-inch nail here?
Tools, in particular power tools, are very important to becoming self-sufficient. If you don't have the tool to get the job done, then usually you don't get the job done. The DeWalt oscillating tool is just one of those items that makes your day easier. Sometimes it all out saves the day when there's just no other tool to fill its role, and I have really found this to be that type of tool. It's so versatile, and it's just a really great product from DeWalt. I'm sure you can pick it up from other big name makers and you will have a quality oscillating tool anyways, but here today we're looking at the DeWalt. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if it's your first time here. Let me know if there's something else you would like me to review, and if you're interested in purchasing this tool, please go ahead, write down in the comments right now and use my link to purchase. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.